road from our studios here in Mount Gambier on Penola Road. But as Di was mentioning, this is not just a Mount Gambier-based service. This is affecting people far wider than just the city.
At the moment, the two solicitors who work in the Community Legal Centre here, we used to have three, they service an area from Bordertown to Kingston to Robe to Port Macdonald and Mount Gambier, of course. Yeah, so it's a very large region. As the region serviced by the Riverland Legal Centre too, they've also got two lawyers who service a very large region. We don't believe that a basically telephone service is going to adequately service both of our regions.
And in terms of the numbers of people that the service comes into contact with or assists, on a weekly or monthly or yearly basis?
On a yearly basis, we're assisting over 1,000 people a year consistently. I should have pulled the stats out for you, but it's well over 1,000 people a year.
And the majority of that work would involve what type of, assistance or work are people coming in about?
We cover a really wide range of areas, things like tenancy, bankruptcy. Di does a lot of bankruptcies as a paralegal, advice about family law, credit and debt, assisting people to deal with credit and debt, motor vehicle accidents where people need to know what their rights and responsibilities are. Scans. A classic thing for us, and it's hard to say a classic thing because it varies so much, might be someone whose husband's died and they just don't know what to do next. A lot of people in a situation like that might come to us first for some guidance and direction on what to do. And we may do things like assist them to get their husband's superannuation payouts and other things.
So if you're working with someone who's dealing with a bankruptcy issue, for example, comes in to see you, how difficult would that be for you to work with someone over the phone, for example, if you were 5 hours away?
You can't. We over the 17 years that we've been operating, we have developed extremely close relationships with all the financial counsellors in the region. And a person that presents and is requiring assistance with bankruptcy, it's an extremely emotional time. It is quite a confusing time, and we assist people with complex bankruptcies as well. To do it over the phone is, I can't even imagine our clients attempting to do that, and this will have to be picked up by someone else in the region. So we're already stretched to the limit with regard to the services, and this decision to close the legal service is going to have far-reaching implications on all of the service providers, both government, both NGOs, state and federal. So and it's going to affect everybody, every household. And another thing is that in December last year we had 3 permanent full-time solicitors, 1 a full-time dedicated family law solicitor, myself as a permanent full-time senior administrator in bankruptcy, and also 3 part-time administration assistants. And we're busy. So it's interesting to see how with the work that we do and how we serve people, how that is going to be replaced appropriately and proportionately to the needs of the limestone coast. So that in itself is highly questionable.
Can I just butt in and say that to run this service costs around about $350,000 a year. So that's all that the state government is talking about, between $350,000 and $400,000 a year to provide a service for over 1,000 local people
on our current level.
On our current level. With 2 solicitors and the current staff, so 5 current staff. So it's not a huge amount of money that the government is saving by disadvantaging the regional communities.
We've talked a bit about the impact on what this is going to mean for the community, obviously your clients, but Sandy, obviously people work at this centre. We're talking about it closing down. So how many staff and what does this mean for all of you?
Well, we're going to lose 5 staff members. Maybe there'll be something coming from the other legal centre that's taking us over, but all legal centres, including Southern Community Justice Centre, are losing money, so they will have spare staff as well. So really, realistically, all of the staff who work at the South East Community Legal Centre will be unemployed as of the 1st of July.
Is there anything that even remotely does what the South East Community Legal Service does here in the South East?
No,
Absolutely not.
no. And I mean, legal justice should be available for all. It's part of our democracy. It's enshrined in who we are, and so everybody should have access to legal representation. And not many people can afford $500-600 a day to see a lawyer. So you know, it's going to be very, very difficult for a very large number of people in our community.
The other issue too is, you know, we are the largest region outside of Adelaide. We have a fully functioning court system within Mount Gambier, which provides criminal, civil, and also the federal court circuit, family law circuit. And we will not have, well, we don't know how much of a service delivery will be down to this region. We have an expanding prison system, and we all have to ask the question of how is this service going to be provided under the National Partnership Agreement to provide the outcomes that the legal needs will be met, and the legal needs will not be met within this region.
I also wanted to say too that until now we've been run by a board of local people who understand the region and know what goes on in the region. Having a board based close to Adelaide, I think we're going to lose a lot of that local content.
So how important do you think it is to have that? I mean, you spoke at the beginning about local people knowing the local issues, to have people within the region and understanding, I guess, the impacts of people here in the South East, as opposed to what might be affecting someone who's in the Riverland or further up in the state.
I think it's vital. Local people understand local issues, and we can have local issues like mills closing, the sale of the forest that we had a few years ago, how that affects local people. The sale of the forest was a huge example because it was very concerning for local people, but ask anybody in Adelaide and they wouldn't even know it was happening, despite the fact that there were a number of demonstrations about that were staged in Adelaide. Because it wasn't concerning people in the other regions, there was very little acknowledgement of how that could impact on our community. And so it's vital, and there's a lot of research done about that local issues are much better dealt with in local regions. And also there's a cost attached, often a hidden cost attached to takeovers like this, where and that's not that hasn't been accounted for. Things, well, obviously travel, equipment, but simple things like even changing the stationery and so forth. And most of the research around community organisations and mergers and takeovers and so forth shows that it can take up to 5 years before things settle down. So I suspect that it's not going to be as clean and easy as our government is saying it will be.
The other thing too is this is a really centralised model of delivery within nationally and in state. So it's all going to be centralised and triaged in Adelaide. People will have